We should never allow the government to decide what is acceptable speech and what is unacceptable speech. We should penalize behaviors, not opinions, and not speech. If you start trying to regulate speech, you start trying to regulate thoughts, you start trying to regulate beliefs rather than behaviors, there's no way that you're not going to abridge the constitutional rights of millions of Americans.
1983, 10:43. My daughter, Leanne Carter, was killed in the Winn Dixie store at 8 o'clock last night, July the 2nd, 1983. As of this time, we have had no word, a letter, telegram, card, phone call, or personal contact from anyone with Winn Dixie. I and my son arrived at the store where the fire occurred at approximately 9:30 last night, July the 2nd, 1983. I made an inquiry with Mr. Davis and the security man from Winn Dixie as to where my daughter, Leanne Carter, was. Their response was a nodding of the head in a negative manner. I directed a question directly to the gentleman, and I said, "What is your name?" He said, "My name is Mr. Davis." I directed a question to the other gentleman, and he indicated that he was the security man from Winn Dixie. I directed a question to them directly into their face. Where is my daughter, Leanne Carter?
Victims were transported with delicacy. Employees were comforted by friends and families. Investigators smelled for gasoline. The charred registers were visual reminders of what happened inside. An unidentified eyewitness recalled what he saw that night.
Poor cashier, she didn't make it. You see, he burned the bad boy real bad. I think he's still alive.
Ellis Britton, her daughter Melita, and granddaughter Pammy were in the checkout line that night. All three were burned. Mrs. Britton says while the burns have healed, the emotional trauma has not.
You see a beautiful young girl, they're going to take your money, and all of a sudden you look up, she's in flames. You don't forget that, never. 3 months after it all happened, I had a emotional physical breakdown. I couldn't cope with anything. And, you know, it just, really, it gets you. I remember it.
The Brittons were one of the
Their reply was, "You'll have to see the detectives." I walked over and asked the detective if he could tell me where my daughter, Leanne Carter, was. He says, "How do you spell her name?" I spelled her name. He said, "What is your phone number?" I gave him my phone number. It's 681-4253. He then stated that some had been sent to Brandon Community, others to Tampa General, some to St. Joe, some to University Hospital. I left and went to Brandon Community Hospital emergency room and made a request there. If they had my daughter, Leanne Carter, their response was negative. I then returned home, picked up my wife, and we immediately went down to Tampa General Hospital, arriving there at approximately 9:45. We went into the emergency room, was approached by one of the workers there, directed a question to a social worker as to if she had any information on Leanne Carter, my daughter. Her response was, "No, I do not." She indicated that she would go back and check with the sheriff's office detective, the officer there at the emergency room. She returned approximately 10, 15 to 20 minutes later, said she had no word. She was unable or did not tell us if my daughter, Leanne Carter, was in fact at Tampa General or in fact at any of the other hospitals. She indicated that she would go back and further check for us. She returned approximately 15 to 20 minutes later, again with a negative response, that she had been unable to reach the detective or the sheriff's officer out at the scene of the fire. She left, again returned approximately 20 minutes to a half an hour, indicated that they were awaiting the word from the coroner's office, the medical examiner. She left, approximately 20 minutes to half an hour. She returned again and told us that a detective from the scene was on the way to the emergency room to see us, to talk to us. My wife and I went outside at the driveway, waited until a detective with the badge on his pocket came in. I asked him if he had just come from the Winn Dixie store. He said yes. I said, "Are you looking for the Carters?" He said yes. I said, "We are the Carters. Where is our daughter?" He said, "I cannot tell you. You'll have to go inside." We accompanied him inside and went to a private office whereby he requested what my daughter, Leanne Carter, was wearing. We told him that she was wearing, of course, her Winn Dixie uniform, her class ring from M.D. Collins High School, and a birthstone ring. At this point, we said, or asked him if our daughter was dead, and he says, "Yes, she is." This was at approximately 10 minutes after 1. We had been there since approximately 9:45. No one would tell us anything. Rita came by this evening, July the 3rd, 1983, at approximately 10 o'clock, along with Sean. Rita was working the cash register next to Lee at the Palm River store on the night of July the 2nd, 1983. She indicated to me when I questioned her that she had gone to the customer service desk to look up a check cashing card, but that when she looked up, that a man had opened the door, threw a fuel can in, then threw a lighted object which ignited the fuel, engulfing all of the check-in areas. The computers which the cash registers, the checkout agents, the cashiers used, being electric, they themselves exploded. She was approached at a later time after she had been taken from the store. She was taken to an emergency vehicle. After inquiring as to how my daughter Leanne Carter was, a person from the produce department or one of the other departments in the store was either with her and assisted her to the emergency equipment or met her there, and at that time told her that Leanne was dead. I was there at approximately 9:30, and Rita indicated that it was very soon after this time when I had made an inquiry with her if she knew where Lee was, that she was taken to this emergency vehicle and was told that my daughter Leanne Carter was in fact dead. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department put my wife and I through agonizing hours of waiting, making inquiries, getting negative responses, until approximately 10 after 1 in the morning, when the sheriff or the detective of Hillsborough County came to the emergency room of Tampa General Hospital and informed us that in fact our daughter was dead. So this is a period of time from approximately 9:45 until 1:10 a.m. in the morning that the official authorities of Hillsborough County, whether it be sheriff, detective, medical authorities, rescue units, even personnel of Winn Dixie, knew that my daughter in fact was deceased, dead, at approximately 9:45, and put my wife and I through this agonizing period of time when it was known by many that she was in fact dead. But they made us wait until approximately 1:10 a.m. This is to insert additional pertinent information in reference to when my son and I were on our way to the Winn Dixie store that experienced the fire. My wife, who had remained home, called the Winn Dixie store at Bloomingdale, where my daughter normally works, and made an inquiry with Mr. Ramp, one of the managers, if he could tell her if they had any information, or if he had any information about Leanne Carter. His response was, "I only know that she has been missing for 2 hours. That's all I know. That is all that I am allowed to say," and hung the phone up. 5:30 in the morning, Tuesday morning, July the 5th. And at this time, we have had no correspondence, no words of comfort, sympathy, or anything. From Winn Dixie. July the 5th at approximately 11:50, Mr. Ware with Winn Dixie finally called to extend his sympathy for Winn Dixie. He wanted to come out with Mr. Davis, and I told him that I was very disappointed in Winn Dixie and that they could come out and give me a call next week after we get back from Atlanta.
ويوم نبعث من كل أمة شهيدا ثم لا يؤذن للذين كفروا ولا هم يستعتبون وإذا رأى الذين ظلموا العذاب فلا يخفف عنهم ولا هم ينظرون وإذا رأى الذين أشركوا شركاءهم قالوا ربنا هؤلاء شركاؤنا الذين كنا ندعو من دونك فألقوا إليهم القول إنكم لكاذبون وألقوا إلى الله يومئذ السلم وضل عنهم ما كانوا يفترون الذين كفروا وصدوا عن سبيل الله زدناهم عذابا فوق العذاب بما كانوا يفسدون ويوم نبعث في كل أمة شهيدا عليهم من أنفسهم وجئنا بك شهيدا على هؤلاء ونزلنا عليك الكتاب تبيانا لكل شيء وهدى ورحمة وبشرى للمسلمين
بحب وأمان والخير للجميع هو الجميع آمين للجميع من يتقى تقى آمين للجميع
ترجم بالانجليزي
هاي تطلع شاورما؟
لا تطلع شاورما